guys, I'm Michael.
And I'm Charisse. And this channel is all about personal branding and finance.
And we're helping young professionals to improve every single day.
That's the Kinley way.
So if you want to get from here to here, make sure you subscribe and we're going to help you get there.
And if you already know all of that, welcome back.
Good. And today's topic is how to ace an interview, right? And I'm really super excited to talk about this because, those of you who are watching this, I'm sure, some of you might have a story of I'm always getting past the job application stage, but when it gets to the interview, I'm getting that dreaded email that says, sorry to inform you, but your application has not been successful at this time. I have faced that on numerous occasions, right? But now, in the last 2 years, I feel super equipped to be able to help you guys ace your interview. One, because I have hired, and also because I've had really, really successful interviews. Okay,
So have I.
Great. And so Charisse.
All of my interviews, as soon as I get to interview stage, I'll get the job. But it's usually the CV stage that takes a long time to be called in.
So I guess Charisse has a lot to add to you guys too, right? Before you get to the place and you get to the office where you're interviewing or the coffee shop, that person probably knows more about you than you think. They've done research, they probably typed your name in on Google. If you had LinkedIn, they've looked at your LinkedIn profile, they've looked at your Twitter page. If it's not private, they've looked at your Instagram page. If it's not private, they know everything they want to know. They can possibly know about you. That's why when they get to the interview, they usually want to know more about you. Not in terms of what they found out, but actually about your values and your philosophy or the way you think, and they want to understand really how valuable you can be, right? First tip I want to give you guys is your interview starts before you walk in the room. And this is why you need to go back to our personal branding video, right? Because that's really going to help you build your personal brand.
Yeah,
So,
and if you want to download the infographic as well, I have the link down below so that it can really help you in not just obviously interviews, but from the interview and beyond.
Exactly. The person that's interviewing you, hiring manager, recruiter, HR, personnel, they know about you before you walk into the room, okay? So make sure that you also know about them before you walk in the room, know about their company. What are the key things that you should know? You should know, well, obviously you should know the name of the company. And I'd say this, it sounds stupid, but I've heard so many people say, hey, I got a phone call from this person, I can't even remember the job I applied for. That to me is possibly the most irresponsible things you can ever do as a professional. What do you say? Oh, hey, yeah, it's Michael speaking. Sorry, what company are you calling from? Oh, because I've made 1,000 applications and you might just be one of them. It's
Unless it's
so
a
irresponsible.
recruitment agency.
Recruitment
that's calling
agency, it doesn't matter.
You. Yeah, it does, because when the recruitment agencies call me, they're calling me.
If they're calling you about a job that you've
no,
I'm talking about a recruiter that's called you about a job you've already applied for.
No.
That's what I'm talking about. So when they on job board, okay, so basically I'll tell you guys now, I worked in job board for 2 years. The job board I worked for was called City Jobs, right? And a little story is we sell this job board to recruiters.
Okay.
Right? We sell it to recruiters. So recruiters call us, I want 5,000 job postings, right? And we sell them 5,000 job postings. What do they use the job posting for? Is to post their jobs.
Okay.
So when you apply, when you go into Read, or you go into Indeed, or you go into Total
Jobs.
Jobs.
What I'm saying. Most time I applied for this admin in this city centre and stuff. It's very vague for a start, because they don't want me to know the company directly. And then what happens is 5 years down, okay, not 5 years, but like ages down the line, I get a call from them and they're seeing my CV on the CV library or whatever, on the job board. They're not actually offering me the job that I applied for.
Okay, I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm not talking about that.
They're saying,
if they're calling you because they found
this
if they're calling you because they found your CV and they want to talk to you more about your CV, that's fine.
About a role, though,
Yeah,
but not
yeah,
the role that I applied.
that's fine. But I'm talking about if you apply for roles.
Oh, okay.
That's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
If you've applied for a role and they're calling you about the role you've applied for, and you don't even know what the role you apply for is about, what it does. You're just pressing the apply button. You don't read what it's about. You don't even know the location. Like if someone called me, even if the name of the even the name of the company is vague, the fact that someone can call me and be like, oh yeah, I remember I applied for this job. This is what the job was all about. This is the location. I didn't know the company name because it wasn't on the job spec. But you know what role it is. It just makes you look. It just makes you look like you're serious. Yeah, I mean, but when you pick up the phone, you're like, what? Where? What?
So
you just look irresponsible.
How great was your CV for them to pick it up?
I don't know about. God bless you. That would only apply if you actually applied from the company's site directly.
Yes.
Okay, or the company is recruiting directly and they name themselves in their job description, right? So know about the company, know what they do, know what industry they work in, know how much they're growing, employee size I'm talking about, know what their revenue range is. So what I mean by revenue range, know how much they've made in terms of revenue as a business, right? Super important. Know who their leadership is, the CEO or managing director,
How long they've been around.
how long they've been around, how long they've been in the company, what investment groups are investing in the company, if it's a tech company, if it's
Special story.
just find out something. Just if you, it's like before you go on a date, like, you know, you do a bit of research, you find out, you know, what the person is like, you go on the Instagram, you look at the way they like taking the pictures, you can
Speak to their friends a little bit.
yeah, you can make judgments. If I've never met the person before, like, you know, there are people that obviously go on Tinder. I don't even know how Tinder works, never been on it. I don't even know what the user interface is like. But apparently you swipe and you press like, I don't know. But it's almost like trying to going on a date with someone you've never met before. You don't know any of their friends, but pictures tell a story, right? So essentially find out what, you know, you find out what the company is all about from the story that they're telling you online. You read news articles about them. That's the work you need to do before you step into that room, so that when they ask you a question, oh, so what do you know about us? You're like, I know you're based in London. I know that you're based in this industry. From someone that's hired. If you don't know about my company, or you don't know about a company you're going to interview for, and they ask you that question and you don't know the answer to it, and you don't give a good answer to it, your interview's over. If you walk in an interview and a person talks at you for 20 minutes and just asks you, oh, do you have any question for me? It's clearly not a serious role, because if they don't actually ask you what you know, then I can tell you it's a low skill job. I'm not being mean, by the way. I'm just telling you. It's a low skill job, because that's such an easy way to test your research skills, like basic skills. And if they just want to talk about themselves, believe me, they won't care about you.
Yeah, you don't want to work for a company
That just talks about themselves.
Or
because you don't want to date someone that just talks about themselves. Doesn't make sense, right? Any other tips before you go into an interview?
Yeah, what you wear.
Yeah, what you wear. Make sure you look. It must be pronounced.
No,
dressed in
but
an
some
interview.
people feel like these days that a jumper is enough, or a t-shirt is enough, or, you know, just a little bit smart casual. But no, even if it's a tech company, would you not go to an interview with a suit jacket at least?
I'd go with a suit jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was.
I wouldn't wear a tie,
I
but I'd
would
go.
tie. Even a low skill job, whatever it is, always go with at least a blazer and a
personal
nice
brand.
dress, a skirt, always preferably, than trousers.
It's your personal brand, by the way.
Yeah.
See what you're showing.
Yeah, bring a bit of your personality. Like my last interview, I wore pink. Something pink, because my favorite color is pink, and I brought my personal brand into the interview.
Yeah, so that's a really good tip. Thanks, babe. We need to plan. Plan what, you may ask.
Yeah.
There's certain questions that everyone asks. Tell me about yourself. It's not an opportunity to tell a Nollywood story, guys. It's not an opportunity to blah 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 blah. Tell me about yourself. Plan it. So that if they ask you a question like that, you know what you want to say in a very concise way. One of my biggest pains as an interviewer, you know, someone that has a decision to hire, is when someone talks too much and waffles on this same topic of tell me about yourself. I don't, you know, if I want to,
everything about
you know, I don't need to know that you grew up in Uganda, and, you know, I don't need to know all about, unless I ask about your background. So those are two different questions.
Unless you have a story, is what Michael's saying. Like, plan that question.
Yeah.
So if you say, oh, I grew up in Uganda and I did this, and it's some really profound
And it has
thing
relevance.
that you did,
It needs to have
and then,
relevance.
like, it shows that you have those skills that you've picked up in Uganda is great for the job or something. Like, it
needs to have relevance.
Yeah.
Please let your answers have relevance.
Yeah, because it's very broad question. So
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to have the angle to present on a perspective that the employer is going to be like, this person is different. I don't have to go sit down and with all the other 8, you know, candidates. I just want this one. Isn't it?
They'll still sit down with 8 candidates, but they know they
Sometimes
made their minds up quite quickly. I think it would be silly for them to invite 10 candidates and not want to speak to 8 after they've just seen 2.
That's true.
That's damaging the employer brand. Did you know there's something called employer brand? There is. And there are people that work in employer brand.
And what was the reason to have these 10 questions?
So that you know exactly what you're walking into. You don't ask questions if you're not willing to learn, right? That's one thing for, especially hiring millennials. One thing that employees are always looking for is this person willing to learn? No one wants to hire someone that is not willing to learn. So by preparing questions beforehand and knowing what those questions are, you are portraying yourself as someone that's willing to learn, someone that has intellectual curiosity, someone that is, inquisitive, however way you want to put it. Okay, so it's really important that you ask questions like these. You might even have your own questions you prepare, but these are questions that if you ask them, you will know exactly what you're walking into, and the employer will also know what they're walking into when they get into a relationship with you.
It helps you to be more confident as well about yourself, because so many things can happen on the day of the interview that throw you off, but in order to make sure nothing makes you scared or nervous, or because you could come in there really flustered, you could be do all the preparation that we're saying to do, and then enter in the room and then you're so overwhelmed with everything, but because you've prepared so much in advance with all your questions and stuff, you're usually cool, calm and collected.
I'll give you guys a tip.
Yeah.
If you never want to walk into an interview flustered again, walk into the interview to control the conversation. Don't go into the interview expected to be interviewed. Go into the interview to interview. Okay? So what I mean by that, if you're still a little bit confused, is do not go into the interview to be grilled with questions. Go and you are the one that does the grilling.
You're the catch.
Because you're the catch, exactly. You're the valuable commodity that they want.
They need you.
And they have called you to take a commodity of yours, which is your time, an hour of your day, which you're never going to get back, to learn more about you, to make a decision whether they should hire you or not. All right? So you need to go there and say, hey, you've put time in my calendar, right? You've taken my time.
Because this isn't a long-term thing. You could decide that I'm not a good fit, and I'm never gonna get that hour back.
Exactly. So this is the reason.
As much as it's them looking at you, it's you looking at them. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, and I want you guys to always remember this, right? When you go to an interview, never feel like, oh, you're begging for a job and stuff like that. It's the mentality. So from when you see a job and you apply for it, your mentality can't be, I'm desperate, I need this job. Okay, your mentality has to be, I am a highly skilled individual, right? I'm confident enough and I know my worth, I know my value, that I can add to this company. That's how I look at myself when I'm applying for jobs. I don't look at it as, oh, I need a job to pay my bills, to pay this, to do that. I'm not a slave to anyone's job, right?
And all of those things that you get aren't bonuses. They are necessary for you to live.
Yeah, exactly.
For you to operate on a high level for this company. So you shouldn't be feeling like, oh, my salary and my bonuses and all of these things are just, oh, I'm lucky enough to have them. No, you need these things.
Someone really smart once told me that you're not ever working for people. You're working with people.
Yeah.
You're working with a company. You're giving them your skill, your knowledge to help them become more successful. You're not working for someone. I don't have a boss. I have colleagues. I have someone I report to keep me accountable. I don't have a boss that bosses me around. Do you get what I mean? Again, your mentality. You are trading. Someone smart told me you're trading your time for money. That's what you're doing. You're trading your very valuable time for their money. And by giving your time, you're giving your skill, you're giving your experience to help this company grow and achieve their growth plans or the growth objectives. So please, this video, I know, is how to ace an interview, but I feel like most of you watching this video just have a complete wrong mentality about job searching and job hunting anyway, okay? And you're waiting in the foyer, chat to your reception. I am blessing you guys, honestly. Any company you go to usually has a receptionist, right? Someone that welcomes you.
To be fair, the last two places I went to,
they have a
When you get to the reception, you have to call a certain number.
Well, you live in Nottingham, man. You guys.
Oh yeah. But that's most places now in Nottingham. Like,
Yeah.
they don't actually have
But most people
reception.
watching this maybe don't live in Nottingham.
Okay.
So if the person, so like, let's address everyone here. Okay, if the company you go to, you know, you walk through the door and they have a receptionist, build rapport. Build rapport with the receptionist. Say, hey, my name is this. I'm calling to interview for this. I have a meeting with this person, right? Be specific and ask, you know, why they're finding a person for you. Ask them, so how was your day? How long have you been working here? You know, what do you like about working here? What do you like about your role? What do you like about the culture here? You can already start finding out information, because you know what? When that person that's interviewed you for real has walked you out of the building and I'm walking past reception again, you know, the receptionist might even point a good reference. I really like that person. Do you get what I mean? So guys, trust me, when you walk into a building of any company you want to walk to, everyone you meet, from the cleaner, the receptionist, random colleagues around, you are building the reception. Let your personal brand speak for you when you've left the building. That's why we made the video. Please, I hope we're making all these videos, please get the value. You understand what I mean? Like, it's exhausting because we got the value. All right, we are teaching you guys things. Don't just watch video and skip, because I used to do this as well. You know, I skip videos and I don't get the entire value of it. We're not wasting our time. We're not sitting here wasting our time. Just get the value. Okay, this is when you sit down in a room and like relax, drink some water. If you're someone that
they usually ask, oh, do you want some water?
Yes, be like, yes, please say yes. Okay, you're gonna need that water because your mouth is gonna go dry. So please ask for water. So we've spoken about knowing the company inside and out before you meet them, knowing about the person that's interviewing you inside and out before you meet them, and in your interview make sure you ask questions about that person. When you walk into the building, build rapport with the receptionist, because a lot of you might get to the building, for example, and sit down in the reception and just wait.
And if they don't have one, that's the time that you
Yes.
collect your thoughts.
Yes.
You can really go to
Read
the toilet,
read
and
more.
come back and get
Read
yourself...
more about the company.
Yeah.
Some companies, right, when you walk into the reception area, they might have things they write on the wall about what the company is doing, what the company is about. Stand up, read it, get some more information for yourself. So those are things that you could do if the company doesn't have a reception. Right, so when you sit down with the person and they've asked you, oh, do you want a bottle of water? And they get you some water and you sit down. The first thing is you start the conversation. Control.
What do you mean?
No, please, because a lot of you sit in interviews and you're waiting for them to ask the first question. When you get interviewed, so how was your day? Start controlling. You've got to control the scenario. Otherwise, you know, that's what makes you flustered, because you're not in control. You're not dictating the conversation. Okay?
That's what makes you shy.
It makes you stand out, because the 8 other people you're talking about probably won't do that, because they haven't watched this video. Like, hey, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, Jack. You know, how's your day? How are things going? What have you been up to today? You know, and just get into a conversation. It doesn't even feel like an interview. Oh, how's your day going? So, what do you do in your day-to-day job here? You know, what do you do? What are your biggest challenges in your role? Just to show interest in the person, because most people don't do that. You know, what are the biggest challenges in your role? What are the best things you love about your role? And what are the things you hate about your job? It might not even be something that might be valuable particularly to you, but believe me, it will be valuable when you walk out of the room, because that person will remember, oh my days, this was the candidate that just cared about me and wanted to know about me. Do you get what I mean? And that stuff,
and they didn't wait for me
to tell them about me.
Because remember, as we said, like, there's 8 other people and they have to have the same script for 8 other people. That's really boring. But the one that made them break the cycle,
they broke the script. You know what? If you're a candidate, right, that doesn't make your interviewer go by a script, you are definitely a candidate for the role. If for a good reason. If you don't make, because okay, let me be clear. If you make the interviewer not use the script for a bad reason, you start cussing in the conversation just goes south, you will be remembered for a bad reason. But if you are someone that makes an interviewer not use the script because you showed so much interest in them that they just didn't want the script at all, then you will be remembered. Believe you me. Like, if you don't get the job, I will stop this YouTube channel. When it comes down to business, Right. Bullet points, please. Bullet points. Talk about your last role a little bit. Talk about what you were doing there.
Yeah.
Talk about your achievements. Talk about your any kind of hobbies you have or interests. Talk about any learning that you do outside your job, any professional development courses. Talk about if you have a YouTube channel, talk about your YouTube channel. You know, if you are a social media mogul, talk about that. Talk about how you're building things and what you're learning. If you're learning new things, you're gonna get but bullet points, right? Key tip: do not finish and wait for them to ask you another question. This is where you start taking control. Okay, so when you've given, tell me about you, like, okay, yeah, so as you're finishing, like, so Jack, I was just really I'm curious to understand, you know, what we're here, and you know, I'm thanks for your time again, but I'd love to know a little bit more about this role, about the company, right? And I just have some questions that I'd like to ask, just to make sure that we're making good use of my time, and making good use of your time, and my time and our time, right?
Yeah.
And there we go. That's where you take control. Now you're in charge of conversation. So I just kind of give me a brief, and using words like give me a brief, again, controls the conversation. And please look interested. So sit up, make eye contact, do not interrupt. Smile, nod, acknowledge, right? Don't interrupt.
Wow.
Don't say wow.
Wow. No, I say wow.
Don't say wow.
Don't say wow. Why
Don't say wow.
If that's your personality, say wow.
Don't say wow.
Why don't you say
Unless
wow?
they tell you something
Unless
like
it's like-
mind blowing, like
No, not wow, as in as like they say something you're like, oh wow. If you're actually interested, I would say wow if I'm interested. I wouldn't say
you know
wow
what,
if I'm-
Sharice is right. If it's your personality to say wow, but if I was interviewing
Don't say
you,
is it though, because
if-
is it sounds sarcastic, like is it?
don't say is it to anybody. Like, every interview is different. I think you need to be able to judge the personality of your interviewer before you're
If I'm
using
smiling and I'm
using
nodding
reaction, before
and
you
I'm
use the
looking
reaction
like-
words.
Okay.
Anyway, what's the vision of your company? Understand what the growth goals for the business is, especially maybe in the next 6 months or the next year, whatever time frame you're interested in. And when I mean growth goals, understand how much they want to grow in terms of employee size and in terms of revenue goals. Okay, what department is e-staff? E-staff is executive staff, so the CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, whatever, like the chiefs in business, the ones that are running the company, most keen to invest in a why, right? It usually is the case with most companies that the executive staff are usually very interested in maybe investing in product, investing in engineering, investing in sales, investing in HR, whatever. So you might not particularly care, but it's important that you're showing interest in this kind of things. In terms of the role specific questions, why was the role created? You need to know that. And who was feeling the pain and why? I don't know how many of you even asked this question, right? But usually when a role is created is because someone is feeling the pain of not having the burden. But there's a pain being felt. That's why a role's been created.
Yeah.
Sometimes in an email to prep for the interview, the employer will say, these are the people that you need to care about. Know all of them in and out. Why is the role important to the overall investment plan for the business, right? Every company has an operating plan. Every company has an investment plan, right? But let's call it an operating plan. You need to understand why the role that you're going for is important to their operating plan, right? Because then you can start to understand how valuable you're going to be to the company, whether you're going to be a disposable person or an asset. Okay, what are the expectations of the role in general? Not the expectations on you yet.
But isn't that in the description on the jobs board?
Yes, so some of you might read in
Requirements.
the requirements. That's what so in the requirements, make sure you know those requirements. But even if you know them, just say, hey, I know what the requirements for the job are, but because we're face to face and we're having a conversation, I want to know in your perspective, in your view, what the expectations are for this role.
That sounds
okay?
better than.
And me and Sharice were talking about whether they're the same or not. What are the expectations on you now, if you got the role, in the short term and long term? And you can follow that up with a question on what's the performance level you're expected to be at. No one's in the first week, no one's expecting you to perform, right? You're still onboarding. In the first month, no, baby, it's unrealistic. In the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and maybe even 4 in some cases, you are still onboarding. You're still doing a lot of training. Some companies, they put you on a training program for 9 weeks. Some companies, they send you to Newcastle to go do a training program. So there's always some kind of enablement that you have to do, or some kind of onboarding plan. After that onboarding plan, you want to then know what is the expectation in 3 months, and 6 months, and 9 months, and a year. Okay, what are the resources available for your professional development, right? You don't want to go into a company where there's going to be no opportunity to grow, there's no opportunity to progress, no training, because there are companies like that. And if the company doesn't have any resources and have no professional development, no career path, say, peace out, brother. Peace out, because you don't want to waste your time. You're not going to feel fulfilled. And if you don't feel fulfilled, believe me, it becomes much easier to ignore your snooze.
To snooze your alarm, to ignore your alarm.
Yeah, ignore your alarm. There we go. You want to find out about other people in the company and how often they get promoted, and compared to how often people move sideways. My phone says laterally, but laterally means sideways. So you might be working in marketing, but you have an interest in finance. You want to go work in finance, or you're working in marketing, you want to move into sales. That's a lateral move. Obviously, a vertical move is when you're getting promoted, right? So you've gone from a basic, rep to a manager to a executive or vice president or whatever. That's a horizontal move. The reason I'm telling you to ask that question is you want to find out whether there's a trend. So do people move up usually after 6 months? Do people usually get promoted after 9 months? Do people move laterally after 6 months? This is the kind of stuff that you want to find out. What's the average employee tenure, right? So if people are leaving a company after 3 months, that is a company you do not want. You don't even want them to hire you. You say bye-bye, right? I'm gonna find somewhere else, all right? But if people usually stay there for a long period of time, some people want to stay in a company for 14 years, but in that 14 years, they're constantly growing, they're doing something different, they're challenged all the time. That's not a problem, okay? But that's not a company that churns, and churn means a company that lets people go quite often, okay? That's a good sign. What's the leadership like? You want to know what the CEO is like. Is he a visionary, or is he someone that doesn't like change?
Do you see them at the school?
Do you see them? Do they come and talk? My CEO, for example, one of the most charismatic, amazing CEOs I've ever worked with. He knows I work in a company with more than 300 people. He knows every single one by name.
Wow. What do you mean?
Okay, I'll talk about the culture thing.
I'll chime in.
Okay, so in terms of culture, I mean things like working from home. In terms of, do you always have to dress formally? Can you wear shirt and jeans? Is it a culture where,
Coffees.
Is it a thing whereby you guys go out? Is it an open office or not? Do you get rewarded or not? Do you celebrate achievements or not? Do you guys go out as a company? Do you do fun company things or not? These are all cultural things. Are very, really, really important.
It's usually the most important thing to me.
One of the most important things.
It's usually one of the most important things when you're going to a company.
Yeah.
Because if you don't fit culturally to the company,
you're not gonna last.
You're not gonna last. They're gonna squeeze you out, or you're gonna wanna go.
Yeah.
And it's just horrid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Next question. You want to find out what the flexibility around is around working from home. That's kind of tied into the culture. Is there hands-on culture for managers or more autonomous? Again, tied into the culture. And I guess that's all my questions. And by the way, please do not feel like you have to ask those questions one after one after. Don't interrogate the person that's interviewing you. You ask a question, then allow them to ask a question. It depends on the flow, okay? If you ask 10 questions in a row and they've not been able to get anything about you, that's not a good thing. So when I say control is conversational, right? It's conversational, but you are controlling the pace of the conversation. You're controlling the tempo of the conversation. You're controlling when they ask you a question, when you allow them to ask your question, okay? And if they say, oh, I love the amount of questions that you have, but we just have a few questions for you. Be like, yeah, sure. What questions do you have for me? No problem. But you're still in control. You're still dominating that conversation, okay? It's when they're asking questions, you're answering, but you're not asking any piggyback question back. Okay, so if they ask you a question, if we hire you, what can you deliver for us in like the first 3 months? I would ask, if it was me, Michael, I would ask, why does it matter? Why does it matter to you what, you want me to deliver in 3 months? Why, instead of saying why does it matter, I want to ask, that's a great question. Why is it important?
Yeah, why is that important
to you?
If they move as if they're a bit agitated by the fact that you're answering a question with a question,
that is a great thing.
Then just
don't
make it out as if, no, it's not because I'm trying to pick you up.
You're just trying to understand.
Yeah,
and by the way, guys, there's nothing wrong with putting them on the spot. Don't ever feel like there's nothing wrong. Like, if they really want good people and they want good talent asks questions like that.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Good people, really good people that demand high salaries, they don't go and sit in interviews and be interrogated, right? They're gonna ask loads of questions, and you know what? They are the ones to decide whether they want to work for the company or not the company.
And usually the good ones, the high-paying jobs, they're really nice. It's only the little low-paying school jobs that you go for.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to do really harsh interrogation. They just,
please.
oh, sorry, don't have time. Just get out now.
Yeah.
That's when you get.
Those are high.
Really
those are high.
It's just really, I don't
high.
know why.
Those are high churn jobs, high churn companies, kind of thing, right? But a company that really, they're hiring strategically and they really want to be careful about who they put in the job. They will spend an hour and a half just talking to you.
Because they want to get it right.
They want to get it right, exactly. And you know why they want to get it right? Because if they don't, it's going to cost them a lot of money and a lot of time, right? Guys, trust me. If companies make the wrong hire, the cost of finding someone new and training that person up is a lot. So it tends to be HR never wants to get this wrong. If HR can have, a person that they hire and it stays for the next 2 years, that's success for them, right? They don't want someone that they have to fire in 3 months. Okay? But yeah, I mean, in terms of questions, is there any questions you have for me? Right? And do you understand what I mean? But I wouldn't hit them with 10 questions in a row. I'd maybe say 3. Then allow them to answer a question. Then another 3. Or you ask 3 questions. Then you allow them to ask 2 or 3 questions. Then you ask another 3 questions.
And don't be afraid. I mean,
it's a tennis court.
Yeah, don't feel like, oh no, I botched up the interview because I didn't ask my 10 questions that I prepared.
Yeah.
Like, it could go a different way. Like, you could forget about the fact that you're an interview and then you're having conversation about tennis or conversation about art. Like, don't feel like, oh, it has to be this way.
That's a good point.
Because
the person you're talking to might love tennis and might hire you based on the fact that you love tennis too, and they want to go out with someone that loves tennis.
And it's just a bonus that you're gonna do really good at the job.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, I want to hire someone that talks about Arsenal all the time. Absolutely. Makes my life easier. And also, before you leave the interview, offer next steps, right? So when you're wrapping up, like, is there any questions for me, Jack? And they ask you a couple of questions, be like, great. Now, I just give me an understanding. What's the next step in the process, right? What should I expect next, right? Oh, this person's going to get in touch with you and we're going to set up another time for you to meet someone else in the team. Great. When do I expect to hear from you, right? Oh, you're going to hear from us by later on today or tomorrow, so that you're not chasing people in email saying, oh, we had this interview a long time ago. I've not heard from you. Like, that is just like the cringiest thing ever.
But you should send an email after you've joined.
Yes, agreed. Send an email afterwards saying thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that we get to meet again really, really soon. I hope to get some feedback on how that interview went, and to set up the next steps. The
question that you asked in the interview, or if you forgot to say, let me know how the interview went, you can say that in the email as well. So it's not so much pressure on you.
Charisse, anything else?
No.
Good. God bless you all. Bye bye.
Is that it?
Sorry guys, like, subscribe, comment if you really enjoyed this video and what we're talking about, and please let us know if it was useful for you, and it's going to be useful for you in your future job interviews. And by the way, what would be amazing is if you guys got a job by trying out what we said. And you comment on the video, you came back to the video and say, hey guys, we've got a job. What's our email?
team@theakinleway.co.uk.
Great. So guys, make sure you send us an email. If you have any job interviews coming up and you try out what we did and you got the job, oh my god, that is literally going to make me make more YouTube videos. We've had amazing emails, like people that found so much value in what we're giving to you guys, the community. So we want to continue doing this, but we want to know that it's helping. So please comment, subscribe as well. Tell your mom to subscribe, your auntie in Nigeria also to subscribe. She's going to find it valuable. Believe me, everything I've spoken about here is not just for millennials, it can be anyone. Right?
And join us in our Purposeful Personal Branding Nation over on Facebook. It's getting bigger and we're really excited to continue to offer so much more value off of YouTube in an informal setting, and it's gonna help you do so much more.
Fantastic. It's been a pleasure, guys. Bye.